Have you ever stopped to think why some people seem to live lives filled with peace and purpose, while others struggle to find meaning? The truth is that many are unaware of the transformative power that God's glory can bring to their lives. It may seem bold to say, but God's glory is not something distant, reserved for biblical figures or saints of the past. It is within your reach, available for you to experience today, right now. What's more, God's presence in our lives is what truly shapes our faith, strengthens our confidence, and gives us the wisdom to face the challenges of the modern world. What few understand is that manifesting this glory does not depend on grand gestures, but on small daily actions that reflect faith. Are you curious to know how to bring this reality into your life? Let's unravel this mystery together and see how faith and hope can transform your reality. Prayer is like a bridge that connects us directly to the heart of God. When we look at the example of Jesus, we see that his communion with the Father was not just a moment of rest, but a space of transformation. Just as he was transformed on the mountain, we too are renewed when we surrender ourselves to prayer. It is in this space of dialogue with God that we find the wisdom to face life's challenges and the confidence to continue. Have you ever noticed how, after moments of deep prayer, the mind seems clearer and the heart lighter? This renewal that occurs during prayer is often imperceptible at the time, but it is real and powerful. Jesus' disciples, even without fully understanding what was happening, were also touched by divine glory in that moment. This reminds us that even when we do not understand everything, God is working on our behalf. Faith is what sustains us in these moments of doubt and uncertainty, because when we pray, we place our trust not in our own abilities, but in the infinite wisdom of God. Therefore, it is important that we make prayer a daily habit, as Jesus taught us. It could be a moment of silence at the beginning of the day, or a simple conversation with God while we walk. The important thing is to create this space of communion where hope is renewed and faith is strengthened. As we pray, we begin to perceive more clearly how God is present in every detail of our lives. And it is precisely this perception that prepares us to experience God's glory in other areas. Jesus' transfiguration on the mountain was an amazing moment, a direct revelation of his divinity. As he was transformed before the eyes of his disciples, his shining face and resplendent clothing revealed that he was not just a wise leader, but the very Son of God. This event gives us a glimpse of the glory he would bear after his resurrection. More than just a teacher, Jesus showed in that moment that his wisdom came from a much deeper place, from God himself. Those who witnessed this event never saw the world the same way again. As we reflect on this event, we understand that it also symbolizes a transformation that can happen in our own lives. The glory of God, manifested in Jesus, is a promise that one day those who follow him will also share in this light. When we live with faith and trust in God, our own lives are illuminated by this glory. Think of times when, by acting in faith, you experience a change in perspective, as if a veil had been lifted. It is a spiritual transformation that God offers to all who draw near to him. This transformation is not something reserved for the distant future. It begins now, in our small daily actions of faith and communion with God. Just as Jesus revealed his glory in that moment, we too can live a life that reflects God's light in every situation. But this only happens when we understand that our faith is not static. It is dynamic and grows with each new experience with him. And so, we are called to move forward without fear, because the glory that we will one day share with Christ is already beginning to be glimpsed in our attitudes. When the disciples witnessed Jesus' transfiguration, their immediate reaction was to want to stay in that place, away from the pressures and challenges of the world. This desire is very human. Often, when we experience intense spiritual moments, we want to cling to them, as if we could avoid the problems and responsibilities of everyday life. It is natural to seek the peace that comes from God's presence and to want to prolong this feeling. However, these moments are not an end in themselves, but a preparation for something greater. Jesus, on the other hand, did not allow the disciples to remain on the mountain. He called them back to reality, reminding them that their mission was still in the world. This is a clear reflection of how we should view our own spiritual experiences. We should appreciate and value these moments of communion with God, but always remember that the Christian life involves action. We are not called only to receive, but to share what we receive with others. It is like when we feel renewed when we pray, and instead of keeping it to ourselves, we use that energy to help someone in need. Like the disciples, we may be tempted to remain in the spiritual high places. However, we must remember that our faith grows and is strengthened through service to others and daily witness. These moments of closeness to God serve to prepare us to face the battles of everyday life. It is in the world that our faith is tested and our trust in God is put into practice. After the Transfiguration, Jesus did not stay on the mountain enjoying the revealed glory. He came down and returned to his mission. This teaches us something profound. The Christian life is not limited to isolated spiritual experiences. We have a clear calling to witness in the world, even when it seems difficult. Just as Jesus came down from the mountain, we are called to bring God's hope and love to those around us with faith and trust. Witnessing is not just talking about God, but also living in a way that reflects the wisdom we have received from Him. In our daily lives, this mission may seem challenging, but it is in the simplicity of our daily actions that we can make a difference. Imagine a conversation at work where you can choose between complaining or speaking with hope. Or even when you help someone without expecting anything in return. These small actions are ways of witnessing to the glory of God. This is how our light shines. We do not need a big stage to live our faith, but daily moments where we reflect the character of Christ. The call to be a light in the world is not something we do alone. God gives us strength and wisdom for each step. However, it is important to remember that these moments of witnessing are not just for others. They also transform who we are. As we share our faith, we experience spiritual growth that strengthens our own trust in God. And this witnessing does not stop there. It continues to transform us. The Transfiguration teaches us something wonderful. God's glory is not limited to grand events or extraordinary moments. It manifests itself in our lives daily through faith, trust, and the choices we make. Every time we act wisely, guided by God, we are reflecting this glory. We don't need to be on top of a mountain to experience this reality. It is present in us, in our actions, and in how we relate to others. When we think about how to manifest this glory in our daily lives, small actions can make all the difference. A word of encouragement, an act of kindness, or even a silent prayer for someone are expressions of God's presence in us. Don't underestimate the impact you can have on the lives of those around you. Just as Jesus revealed His glory on the mountain, we can also, with faith, reveal God's glory in our lives through simple but powerful actions. The most interesting thing is that when we manifest God's glory, we are also transformed. The divine wisdom we receive when we trust God and live according to His teachings shapes and strengthens us. And this transformation is not only for our personal benefit, but to inspire others to also seek this connection with God. But how does this happen on a larger scale? Now that you have learned about the manifestation of God's glory in your life, the big question is, are you ready to apply this knowledge? Are you prepared to live a life guided by faith and trust in God, where every decision reflects divine wisdom? The glory of God is not something abstract, but a reality that manifests itself through your daily actions. What steps can you take today to begin experiencing this transformation? Maybe it is through prayer. Maybe it is in how you treat others, or even in the way you face your challenges with hope. What are you waiting for to take this step? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue learning more about how to live this faith in practice. Let's go on this journey together, exploring the wisdom that God has to give us.